Level 1. The Visitor. You download a browser most people have never heard of. Not because you need it. Not because you're desperate. Because you're curious. You've seen the videos, the headlines, the dramatic thumbnails about the dark web. It sounds like a hidden world. A secret layer of the internet where normal rules don't apply. You install it late at night. The room is quiet. Your screen glows against the walls. The first thing you notice is how unimpressive it looks. No neon hacker interfaces. No cinematic loading screens. Just basic pages, black backgrounds, plain text, long warnings written in broken English. Trust no one. Use escrow. Law enforcement everywhere.
You click through directories, forums about privacy, forums about hacking, forums about drugs, forums selling things that make you pause for a second longer than you expected. Nothing jumps out at you. No one welcomes you. No one knows you're there. You are invisible. And that's what makes it interesting. You read threads where people argue about scams. You see vendors accusing buyers. Buyers accusing vendors. Everyone accusing everyone of being undercover. Every new account is treated like a threat. You don't make money. You don't message anyone. You don't post. You just observe. You learn something quickly. This world doesn't run on chaos. It runs on rules, unwritten ones. Reputation is currency. Paranoia is survival. Anonymity is fragile. You close your laptop. You tell yourself, that was enough. Just curiosity satisfied. But the next night, you open it again because you want to see what else is there. And this time, you create a username. Level 2. The Lurker. You have a username now. It doesn't mean anything. No profile picture, no bio, no history. Just a string of letters and numbers that could belong to anyone or no one. You log in the next night. This time you're not just reading. You're inside. You start small, replying to harmless threads, asking vague questions, watching how people respond. They don't welcome you. They test you. New account. Low rep fed. Scammer. Every message feels like a background check. You learn quickly. Don't overshare. Don't ask direct questions. Don't sound eager. Eagerness looks suspicious. You spend hours reading vendor reviews, 5-star ratings, 3-star warnings, long complaint threads about packages that never arrived. You realize something important. This world runs on reputation scores. Numbers next to usernames determine survival. A vendor with 1,000 positive reviews can charge double. A vendor with 0 reviews is either new or bait. You watch disputes unfold in real time. A buyer claims he got nothing. The vendor posts tracking proof. Screenshots fly back and forth. Moderators step in. Escrow holds the funds. You learn the mechanics. No one ships without escrow. No one releases funds early. No one trusts promises. Trust is algorithmic here, not emotional. You don't make money. Not yet. You're still observing. But now you understand the ecosystem. Forums feed markets. Markets feed vendors. Vendors feed moderators. Moderators answer to admins you've never seen. And everyone fears one thing: exposure. Occasionally, a username disappears. No goodbye post, no explanation, just gone. Sometimes rumors follow. Arrested in Germany. Server seized. Exit scammed. Sometimes nothing follows at all. Silence is common here. Silence is survival. You begin spending more time online than offline. You start thinking in usernames instead of real names. You refresh threads compulsively. You watch for patterns. You start to notice that some accounts defend each other. Some always argue in pairs. Some vendors always win disputes. You suspect alliances, maybe cartels, maybe just friendships. Or maybe the whole thing is run by 5 people pretending to be 50. You'll never know. That uncertainty is the point. One night, someone replies to one of your comments. Not accusing, not hostile, just curious. You seem smart. You looking to earn? Your heart rate rises slightly. It's the first direct offer, the first invitation. You don't answer immediately. You wait. In this world, patience is protection. You stare at the message for a long time, and for the first time, you consider moving from observer to participant. Level 3. The middleman. You don't become a criminal overnight. You become useful. You reply to the message carefully, vague, non-committal. The account that contacted you isn't flashy. Mid-level reputation, old join date, few posts, no drama attached. That's a good sign, or a very bad one. They don't ask you to sell anything. They don't ask you to ship anything. They ask if you can connect people. Referrals. You already know who's trusted. You've spent weeks watching. You know which vendors deliver. You know which buyers pay fast.
You introduce them. You don't touch product. You don't touch data. You just move information. First deal $300. You're cut 5%. You make $15. It feels insignificant, but it's real. Crypto appears in your wallet. Confirmed. Irreversible. Second deal, $1,200. You make $60. Third deal, bigger than another. Within a month, you're clearing $800, then $1,500. Some months push past $2,000. It's not life-changing, but it's addictive. You check your wallet first thing in the morning. You refresh transactions at night.
You start thinking in percentages. You begin tracking who pays on time, who causes disputes, who brings repeat buyers. You realize something. You're building a network, and networks have value. But there's pressure now. If a deal fails, both sides message you. If a vendor disappears, you get blamed. If a buyer scams, you're accused of setting it up. Your inbox fills with tension. You learn to stay neutral. You never promise outcomes. You never guarantee trust. You only connect, but the money changes something inside you. This isn't curiosity anymore. It's leverage. You're still anonymous, still invisible, but now you matter. Small vendors greet you politely. Buyers respond faster. Your username begins appearing in threads. Talk to him. He's legit. Your reputation score climbs. Not high, but noticeable. You start receiving more private messages. Some clean, some risky. Some offering higher cuts for higher risk connections. You hesitate because you understand something now. The higher the payout, the shorter the lifespan. Still, you don't stop. You optimize. You refine. You only connect high-rated accounts. You avoid volatile buyers. You turn down deals that feel rushed. You tell yourself you're being smart, professional, careful. But one night, after a particularly smooth transaction, you open your wallet and stare at the balance. $4,870. All from referrals. All from staying in the middle. You didn't hack anyone. You didn't ship anything illegal. You didn't threaten anyone. You just connected two people who wanted something from each other, and you took your cut. That's when it clicks. The real money isn't at the bottom. It's at the center. And for the first time, you start wondering how big the center can get. Level 4. The moderator. You wait almost a full day before replying, because urgency reads as desperation in here, and desperation reads as exactly the kind of liability nobody wants in a position like this one. When you finally respond, you keep it to one sentence. The guidelines that follow aren't a contract, just a short list of expectations typed in plain text. Stay neutral. Review the evidence carefully. Release or refund escrow based on proof, never on feelings. Never, under any circumstance, leak a private message, no matter how tempting it gets. Your dashboard changes overnight, suddenly full of panels you didn't know existed an hour earlier. Dispute queues, vendor strike histories, a private staff channel where the decisions that actually matter get made quietly. The first dispute you handle is small, a few $100s, simple enough to resolve once you line up the timestamps against the delivery proof. The next one is bigger, then bigger again. Your cut is a small percentage of every dispute fee, plus a flat monthly amount that quietly starts to outpace anything you ever made selling something yourself. You start noticing patterns nobody else seems to catch. Accounts that always defend each other in arguments. Buyers who always open a dispute at the exact last possible second. Vendors who somehow never once lose. You flag what you can prove and quietly let go of what you can't. Power changes the way you type. Slower now, more deliberate. Because one bad call in here can turn an entire forum against you by morning, and you've already watched it happen to people who thought it never would. Level 5. The administrator. Moderating disputes was never the ceiling, only the entry fee. And eventually the people actually running the operation start asking what you think about decisions that matter far more than any single dispute ever could. New escrow structures. New vendor verification systems. Which staff members deserve admin access, and which ones have started looking quietly suspicious to everyone watching. The amount of money moving through the platform stops being something you check once a day and becomes something you track like weather, rising and falling by tens of thousands of dollars, depending entirely on which day it happens to be. You learn the back end, the way most people learn a difficult new job, server uptime, wallet rotation schedules, the constant low hum of people trying to break in and take what was never theirs to begin with. You start sleeping less. You start trusting fewer of the usernames that used to feel familiar, because they're not just usernames anymore. They're actual decisions about actual money that actual people are depending on you to make correctly. A rival platform gets seized overnight without warning, headlines spreading within hours. And for an entire week, half your own staff stops responding to messages out of pure unfiltered panic. You start to realize that the bigger this gets, the less it feels like running a website, and the more it feels like running a small, permanently nervous country that could be raided at literally any moment. Level 6, the enforcer. Somebody eventually has to deal with the people who genuinely believe the rules don't apply to them, and that job lands on you. You freeze wallets tied to accounts running coordinated scams across dozens of fake identities. You ban entire clusters of usernames that turn out to be the exact same 3 or 4 people wearing 50 different disguises. You watch one decision freeze a 6-figure amount in under a second, no appeal process required, no explanation owed to anyone, and the fear that spreads through the forum afterward turns out to be more useful to keeping order than any written rule ever could be. But freezing that kind of money without hesitation teaches you something you'd rather not have learned. If you can do that to somebody else with 1 click and 0 consequences, somebody sitting above you can do the exact same thing to you, just as easily, just as quietly. And for the first time in a long time, you start wondering exactly how far above you that somebody actually is. Level 8, the architect. You start thinking seriously about leaving, not out of fear exactly, more out of simple pattern recognition. Every platform like this one ends the same 3 ways eventually: seized, infiltrated from the inside, or burned down by somebody who saw the ending coming before anyone else bothered to look. So you start preparing quietly, months ahead of time, nothing dramatic enough to draw attention, just small adjustments nobody thinks twice about, slightly tweaked withdrawal limits, looser liquidity rules, a maintenance window here, a sudden server migration there. The numbers by now are enormous. Tens of millions moving through wallets you technically control but never legally owned. And every single dollar of it sits one decision away from being yours forever or gone forever. You start moving small percentages sideways. Different wallets, different chains, nothing big enough on its own to make anyone look twice. You tell yourself it's contingency planning, nothing more, just in case. Somewhere underneath that explanation, you already know exactly what you're quietly building toward. One night, you finally run the real numbers and realize that if you switched everything off during peak volume, escrow alone would hold an amount of money that would take several ordinary lifetimes to earn through any legitimate path. You sit with that number for far longer than you expected to. Level 8, the target. The first headline appears almost 2 weeks after the platform goes dark without warning to anyone. No names yet, just careful speculation. Just blockchain analysts drawing red lines between wallet clusters that sit a little too close to addresses you've personally used. You move to a new city. You stop using anything tied to your real identity. No delivery apps, no ride shares, nothing that leaves a pattern a determined person could eventually map backward. A former moderator gets arrested 2 countries away, and you stare at the blurry courthouse photo far longer than you should, knowing he never had your real name, knowing that fact doesn't actually matter once enough money and enough pressure get involved in the same room. An exchange freezes a sizable chunk of your funds overnight with no warning and no appeal process whatsoever. And just like that, The wealth that felt completely untouchable a year ago starts to feel like it's made of glass. You stop thinking in totals. You start thinking only in whatever amount you could survive losing by tomorrow morning. Level 9, the ghost. Eventually, the headlines slow down, then stop entirely, then quietly move on to somebody else's platform, somebody else's mistake, somebody else's downfall. Nobody ever knocks on your door. No warrant ever shows up in the mail. You change cities one more time, then genuinely lose count of how many times that makes in total. Some of the money is gone for good. Some of it sits in a cold wallet you're too afraid to ever touch again as long as you live. You never find out for certain whether you actually got away with it, or whether you simply got forgotten about for now. And you've learned by this point that those two outcomes look exactly identical from the outside looking in. Somewhere tonight, someone else is downloading that same browser for the very first time, completely certain they're only going to look around, completely certain curiosity is exactly where this ends for them. It never is. The cycle starts again the exact same way it always has, and it always will.